What is going on, YouTube? ModzvilleUSA here, back with another video, and check it out, dude. I've got this Psio, basically an ODE for the original PS1. Looking forward to installing this, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, I picked this up from Stone Age Gamer. It's not sponsored by or endorsed, but that's where I got this guy. And yeah, we're gonna nice little packaging here. We're gonna crack it open. Now you're gonna want to keep this around because it's got your serial number, which I'm gonna do my best to not show, so I don't have to remember to blur it out. You're going to need that for downloading firmware updates. So I suppose there's might be clones or something out on the market. I don't know, but they're trying to secure the updates. You see that a lot with these flash carts. You want to make sure you actually purchase one before you can get the software. I know that's how Terra Onion is rocking it as well. So yeah, very nice little packaging here. So this install seems fairly simple. And if it's beyond your skill set, make sure to check out ModzvilleUSA.com. offering send-in services over there. And if you'd like to send yours in, I'll install it for you. Just need the switchboard. You don't even necessarily need to send in this. It's a switchboard that you install to allow it to work. So yeah, this goes in the back of your PS1, and then you got the SD card slot right here. It's full-size big boy SD right there. And it's got a USB port. That's something. I don't really know what that's for. We'll figure that out later. That might be for firmware updates. Might show up as a device in your PC. We shall see. Well, very cool. Very cool. We'll stash this for the time being. Right now, the meat and potatoes. It's this guy right here. This is our switchboard. And we're going to want to install that shit in our PS1. We're going to need to cut a couple traces. So we're going to need an X-Acto knife, some flux, soldering iron, and probably a screwdriver wouldn't hurt to open that bitch up. So let's get into that. I'm going to get my PS1 right now. We're going to chuck this guy in. We're going to be working on a, I think it's a 5500 series PS1 that I have. You know, the popular ones are the 7500, but I don't know. I kind of like working on the 5500 boards, the 5000 series. I like those more, and you can always chuck a later DVD drive into an earlier PS1. You just gotta mess around with the ribbon cable. But yeah, I think that's what I got going on. I got a 5000 with a drive from like a 9000 series PS1. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So I've got my board out here. This is the bottom of the board. You can see I got my switchboard just kind of resting here. It is not secured yet. According to the instructions, this is where you want to place it. Now I want to use heat-resistant Captain tape. here's my mod chip. I believe this is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, this is a Mayumi mod chip install. Works very nice on most models of Fat Ps1s, except for the original. It's not compatible with the 1000 series, but I find better results with the Mayumi than the MM3, so I install those when I can. And yeah, this is where we want the chip. 2 resistors up top facing the parallel port. Got 2 resistors right there. This is the orientation we want. You want to make sure it's facing the right way. And we don't want to run any wires over ground points, as those are used to transmit an RF frequency apparently, and if we do that we might end up causing some shitty interference. So I'm going to kind of line this up. There's these 3 pads here. I'm going to get it, and then there's these pads here. I want to get it like angled just like right like that, right above there. It's not a bit of a, I want to get it nice and straight, just OCD it out a little bit. It doesn't really matter. I'm just dorking out. I want it to look nice and proper. Okay. I feel good about that. Some good placement. Now this is slightly more involved than just a straight mod chip wire it up installation. Unfortunately, we're going to need to cut some pretty some traces in this area, so we're going to need to get out an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to try to get my camera real tight in there. We're going to cut some traces, then we're going to pull out our multimeter. This guy right here is a little filthy, doesn't matter. Don't judge me, fuck you. And we're going to set it to our continuity. Just gonna, all that's gonna do is, if we touch some pads, we'll see if there's a connection. So here's a little example here. Let's find one that's going to another. So this pin here, you see the trace, follow the trace, goes to there. So if we touch these 2, we should get a beep, because these are connected continuously. Continuity, yeah, that's all I got there. So so yeah, if we take an X-Acto knife and we start cutting traces and we touch it, we should not hear a beep, and that's how we know we cut the trace properly. You can also eyeball it and use a magnifying glass. We're just going to use the tools at hand here to make sure we do everything right. I'm not getting out the old magnifying glass. Maybe we will. I've got a little USB one, but we should be fine without it. We shall see. Okay, let me get a tighter shot of what we're cutting. Alright, I feel pretty good about that shot. Here we are. This is the parallel port in the back. And the first trace we're going to be cutting, it's pretty easy to spot. Bottom layer, third on the, third on the right, or third from the left on the bottom. Easier to spot because it's the only one with the pad directly below it. So you'll notice here, this trace we're cutting is pretty dangerously close to the next trace, to the right of it. There's really no way around it. The good news is if we do accidentally cut the trace to the right, this is very easy to patch up. If you follow the other trace with your eyes here, talking the fourth on the right, if we accidentally cut that trace, we can easily jump a wire from here to there. 2 really easy pads to solder to and reconnect that trace. So we ideally don't want to cut it, but in the event that we do cut it, it's not the end of the world. Now the odds of me cutting it are significantly higher because I'm working around this camera. It's right up in them guts here. Now let's see. I feel like this is probably the best place to cut it right here. To reduce the risk. Okay. And I'm going to test this out with my multimeter, see if I cut that trace properly. So we're just going to eyeball it here. Follow that trace with our eyes. Right here. Might need a little... Going to get our fiberglass pen out. If you don't have a fiberglass pen, you could just lightly graze this pad here. Scrape off the, yeah, we just want a nice shine. We're not trying to cut this, we're just trying to make sure our multimeter makes contact with metal, because there's the board's got a nice little gloss on it. Pretty easy to cut through. And yes, we are not getting a beep. That trace is cut now. Let's also make sure this trace isn't cut. Trace is fine. Trace to the left, also fine. This connects here. Trace has been cut. Very nice. Okay. Now let's move on to the next trace. Alright, I got a nice tight shot of the next 2 traces to cut. These ones are going to be a bit more difficult. So you can find these with a giant B. And then to the left of that, we got this big resistor. We got this cluster of pads here. So, looking at my camera, we want, see these 4 traces? We want the bottom 2. And then we're going to tin up these pads. So we're going to cut these 2 right here, trying not to cut this one, and then afterwards we're gonna follow these traces with our eyes, see what they connect to, and make sure we don't get a beep for these 2. Make sure we do get a beep for this one, that we didn't accidentally cut that. And if we don't get a beep, we're gonna have to follow this with our eyes and jump it with a wire to patch up our mistake. But ideally, we just do it right. Okay, so following those traces is a little tricky because the mod chip here is going over them, so you can't follow them. I can't follow them completely on the board, but even without a magnifying glass, upon inspection, I am confident that these are cut properly. Now let's see if I can get this to show up on camera. And there's a neat little tip that I just kind of experimented with, rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip. When you clean this up, yeah, you can see right there. You can see it gets rid of the scuffs from cutting temporarily. They're going to come back, but you could see those lines. Even in this shot, you can see that they are cut nice and proper. They are not making any connection, and that is good. Also, we can see the line above it is intact. Nothing's been cut into. And yeah, that's a nice little trick. Just clean it up with some IPA here, so you can get a nice, proper inspection of those traces. Very nice. Well, now the traces, the scary work is done. It's a matter of, soldering some wires to some shit. So let's get into that. Okay, so we're going to tin up these two pads right here. Cool. And while we're here, we're just gonna add our wires. Now you're gonna want these leads to be very fine. You don't want them accidentally making contact with the cut trace there. Nice and angled away from anything it could possibly make contact with. All right, opting to go vertically on that wire there. Just gonna go ahead and cut it. We're gonna take our flush cuts, so I'm leaving some slack on these. Now, once you get these going, these contacts are not the most durable. You're gonna want to secure them somehow. They're electrical tape, whatever. Just don't give them a little test and tug. You don't want to rip those pads off. I put you in a pretty bad spot if you do. For the time being, this is not the prettiest. I want to make sure these wires are safe and not going to get tugged while I'm working on stuff. So this might not be a permanent solution. Maybe it will. I don't know. It's not for show, really. It's for functionality. Very nice. Now the next 2 points are going to be on the parallel port. So let's get focused in on that. Alright, the next 2 points are pin 65 and 31 is the bottom, and 1 down from the top. And they're both the second from the right, so this guy here. And this one I could use that pad below it, but whatever. So might as well go straight to the source, you know? Very nice. Now this bottom one goes to PI. Top one goes to PE. Okay. Not bad. Let's move on to the next joints. Alright, here we are on the left side of the board. Slightly below the parallel port. Up here, we got these 2 pads. I don't need to scrape those away. I want to use my fiberglass pen. Very nice. I'll flux them. Grab our iron, tin those up. Beautiful. Alright, so as you can see, I've rotated the board. Just, you know, because I'm right-handed. Use the iron with my right hand. So in this orientation, the top one is going to go to XE, the bottom one's going to go to XI. I'm going to go top to bottom here. And again, like the other pads where we cut the traces, these pads are more delicate, so just get it right and don't go doing a wiggle test because you might end up snapping a pad. Okay, guys, I forgot to do this one. Remember that first trace we cut. I'm going to use this pad here. Tin that up. And this is going to the EN line. And after that, it's just power, ground, and we good. Getting there, dudes. Now there's two more wires. We got power, we got ground. We should be gravy. And we can get away with just using the 30 gauge here. So power and ground. Let's find these boys. Where are these boys at? This one. Okay. Pop. So we got these two capacitors here. I'm gonna tin them up. And we're gonna do power first. So this is the bottom of this boy here. Nice. And then the top of this boy here is going to be our ground. We're just going to tin it while we're in here with our solder. Alright, where's my little yellow cable? I like these yellow wires. They kind of pop. Alright, that's our power. Let's just get it wired up to VDD? Whatever. VCC, right? Yeah. Those are like D's. All right. All right, and there's the ground. Very nice. Okay. that is the install, my dudes. Now, I'm gonna take my toothbrush. Get in here. Get all this flux off. Oh. Dang old cat hair. This fluffy guy. And that looks pretty good. Now we're going to let this dry up. I'm going to route these cables a little bit better. Let me take a dope picture and insulate everything. I'll show you when it's done. I'm going to fire it up and get our firmware installed and go from there, all right? All right. All right. Well, I got everything nice and insulated here, as well as secured the wires, majority of them, that may wiggle around, like these guys down here. Looks pretty good. Now, it's always going to be a bit crazy with these PS1 mods. It's not really, you know, jerk-off wire porn material. But that's an efficient install. Looks quite good. As good as it's going to look. And yeah, nice and clean. Let's get this back in the... put back together. Test it out. Get the PSIO set up, as well as the firmware, SD card, all that shit. Get some games installed and see how we're looking. Okay, dudes, I finally got this sorted out. So I had to go to Stone Age Gamer, find the PSIO page, download, or find the downloads in there, put in my serial and the email I purchased it with. Then they sent me an email with what to put in on the PSIO site to get the firmware. Pretty fucking annoying process, but I got it figured out. All is well. Got the firmware here. So let's get the SD card set up. Okay, so I got my SD card plugged in. This is a 200 gigabyte SanDisk SD, and if I go to properties, we will see it is exfat, and according to the documentation, 32 gigs and under need to be FAT32, and anything over 32 gigs needs to be exfat. That's how SD cards come, so it's pretty much just keep everything stock. So yeah, I'm going to keep this exfat. According to the documentation, that should work just fine. We're going to go to this menu firmware that we got here, and we're going to just drag this over this menu.sys. Very nice. And then we're going to go to, I'm going to find my ROMs here. Sony PS1. I'm going to pick out, I believe this is more than 200 gigs. So I'm going to pick out what I want, drag them over. Now for the game format, according to the documentation, it will accept ISOs or bin-Q format. I am not sure if it will accept these more common multi-bin games like this. If I need to convert them, I will. And the format is like this, like I already have it. It's the ISO or bin/Qs within a folder of what you want it to be named. So folder, game. This is the format. Once again, not sure if the multiple bin thing is going to be a problem, but we shall find out for sure. And for that reason, I'm going to copy this game because I know for sure it's a multi-bin game, and we're going to test it out. But I want to add everything I want to add, and then just hope that the multi-bin thing works out, and I'll see you when that's done. Okay, so bad news. PSIO only supports single bin games, which most of my games are not. So here's how you do it. You gotta get CD Mage. It's an old program. There's a bunch of ways to do this, but this is what I'm gonna do. Get CD Mage, and let's open up one of our images here. That's multi-bin. So in here, ROMs. Sony PS1, one extreme, multiple bins. So we're going to open up the queue here. Ta-da. Once it's open, you just go save as. And we're going to save it in the same folder here. We'll replace it, yes. Keep everything stock. Let it do its thing, and while that's going, we're going to navigate to that folder. Sony PS1, one extreme here. Okay. And now that it's done, we got the little notification sound. Save completed successfully. You'll see we got this one extreme USA.bin, 531 megabytes. Here's all the multi-track ones. We're just gonna get rid of it. Now we won't be able to because CD Mage is open. It's using the files, closing that, and then we're gonna go try again. And there we go. Now go ahead and do that for your entire goddamn collection, and then transfer them over. And I'll see you in 2 years when I'm done with that. All right, moment of truth. Got my new Trinitron, my new million-year-old Trinitron. Oh, goddamn, I forgot to plug it in. Moment of truth, take 2. It's already powering on. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Initializing. Set the menu to NTSC mode? Yes. NTSC it is. Underwater theme, huh? Let's try underwater. No track selected. Gonna enter our name. Mods it is. those us, right? I gotta figure out how to get rid of this video. It says video no matter what. What the fuck? Whoa. This is the first time I've seen a flash card or ODE be so extravagant in the setup here. It's wild. Get on with it though. Alright, it's doing a little update. Psio at the bottom, dude. That's what's up. This Trinitron looks quite good, I must say. Recording does not do it justice. Oh my god, dude. It's got so many things to do. Holy fuck. Power off and on your system. Hey now. Okay. Cool, man. Well, here we go. Finally. We are in. Let's check out the options. We got NTSC, PlayStation logo, background music off, good. Burn-in timer, Japanese navigation, hell no. File sizes, enable fast boot. Got the wallpaper. Cool, man. Well, here we are. Now, I don't know how to... I've seen it with artwork. Curious how that's gonna work. Maybe it's already in it. Let's see. Don't crash one. Mid boot. All right, I'm gonna have to look into the artwork portion here. That's a new little screen there. Yeah. And it boots. Well, at this point, I'm gonna end the video. I'm gonna play some damn Crash Bandicoot. Worked all damn day. Get this working. But anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you found it helpful, amusing, entertaining, whatever, leave a like. Appreciate it. Check out the website if you want to do a send-in. If you want me to install one of these switchers on your PS1, you can do it, no problem, you know? ModzvilleUSA. I'm going to sign out here. I'm going to have a little sign out. I'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.
What have we got?
What to do, ModzvilleUSA.